All right, guys. Who do you feel is Nebraska's biggest rival in college football?
Today, lifetime, all time.
All time, however you're feeling today, who do you classify as Nebraska's biggest rival at this moment?
It's a good question
At
because I think there's three tied at the top, and
at this moment, I'm going to go Colorado. I think playing Colorado the most recently, I don't think it's a Big Ten school. I thought it brought back an old rivalry. I think Colorado's our biggest rivalry, especially when you bring in the ticket prices that games were going at. We're talking about a Colorado school when Dion got there, hasn't sold out tickets since 2000. First game that the Huskers traveled to town, it's sold out. Deion Sanders is bringing the hype. Matt Rule and the Huskers were bringing the hype. Now we got Rayola there. Obviously, they're not going to be playing year in, year out. But today, that was probably our biggest rival of the last 3 to 4 years.
I actually agree with Jason for once. I was riding with Colorado. I think there's three tied at the top: Colorado, Oklahoma, Iowa, and I think right now Colorado just they're number one. When you think about this year, we played Colorado and we played Iowa, and guess what? We were all excited to watch them play Colorado. We didn't have that hype against Iowa. And we played Oklahoma a couple years ago, and yeah, there was hype for that game, but it didn't have the same hype as the Colorado game. That wasn't only Dion. Colorado smash mouth. They play dirty. It's chippy. When we play Oklahoma, it's not that chippy. We respect each other, but at the same time, Oklahoma thinks that they're better than us. Iowa, I mean, they're annoying, but they think that they're original Big Ten better than us annoying. Colorado, they're just a bunch of assholes. And that's why we love playing them. And I'd love to have the Big Ten add them so that we could play just top rivalries every year because it's better for the sport. It's better for fan base. It's better for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Teasel says that there's only three rivalries up there, and I do agree. I think the Colorado games meant a lot these past 2 years, playing each other again, kind of getting that taste in your mouth and being aggressive and driving the ticket prices up. There was a lot of hype with all the Dion nonsense and all of that crap. But it's hard to maintain that rivalry when you play once every, what are we talking, 6 years, 8 years at this point? I mean, even with the changes in the Big Ten and the SEC, you're not going to see a Nebraska-Oklahoma game for years again. So is that really a rivalry that's going to be able to be maintained? Yeah, it's going to be nostalgic and everybody's going to want to turn into it. And it makes you wonder, is the Colorado stuff going to be the same way when the Big Ten continues to expand and change the schedule that way? I think it sets up to, at this point, Iowa is probably the biggest rival in the Big Ten for Nebraska.
Out of the Big Ten, that wasn't part of your thing. Yes, out of the Big Ten, I would say Iowa because that's the team, a good team in the West that the Huskers have been able to
Yeah,
beat. We
I
haven't been
asked
able to beat
for I
Wisconsin until
did
this
ask
year.
for their
I think
biggest rival.
Wisconsin will surpass Iowa as the Huskers' rival if the Huskers are able to go off
I'm
and
not
beat
buying
them
that.
in the next one to
No.
2 years.
Wisconsin will not pass Iowa. The only team that could potentially pass Iowa is Minnesota. And it comes down to the fact that Iowa plays us on
Oh my
Black
God,
Friday.
stop talking about PJ Fleck for
I'm
one
just
minute.
saying, if you look up teams that own Nebraska historically, Minnesota is one of those teams. And we play Iowa on Black Friday.
I'm
So to
sorry,
me, that they get the nod. They're our top rival in the Big Ten.
wasn't
If
Minnesota
Minnesota wants to
in
play us,
wasn't
it's
Minnesota
rivalry
in one of
weekend.
the, yeah, weren't they one of the top 10 teams we've beaten most all time? They're not a
Yeah,
team that's
and they've
beaten us the
also,
most.
yes, they are. We actually have a losing record against Minnesota. If I pull up my thing, we've got just give me 2 seconds, folks.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
Pause. What do you mean
Nobody
by your
cares.
thing? What are you pulling
I
out
took
right now?
screenshots. I took screenshots.
Of what? What's your thing?
I
Pause.
he's got all the
Minnesota,
receipts. He's got the
Minnesota
receipts.
has the second most wins against Nebraska of any team. And number one is Oklahoma. And we've played Oklahoma a lot more. So it makes sense. We have 38 wins against Oklahoma, 47 losses. Against Minnesota, we have 25 wins, 37 losses. So Minnesota owns us. We've played them a ton. That's a solid rivalry. But the nod goes to Iowa because we play them on Black Friday. Black Friday just means more. It's a rivalry weekend. You play your top rival for a rivalry weekend. If Colorado joined the Big Ten tomorrow, Iowa's getting the boot. We're playing Colorado day after Thanksgiving.